Does the woman who lives with you truly love you? Love is one of the simplest words to say, but one of the hardest things to understand. In the quiet hours of the night, when the noise of daily life fades and the mind has nothing left to distract itself with, many men find themselves facing a question that feels both embarrassing and profoundly human. Does the woman who lives with me truly love me? Not in the shallow, superficial sense of comfort or convenience. Not out of habit or fear of change. Not because the rent is cheaper when two people split it. But in the deep, soul-binding way, where love becomes the fuel that keeps a relationship alive even when life becomes complicated. The question persists because living with someone is not the same as being loved by them. Sharing a home does not guarantee sharing a heart. Two people can sleep in the same bed and wake up in the same kitchen every morning while emotionally existing on two completely different planets. Proximity is not intimacy, and routine is not connection. American culture, with its independence, busyness, and transactional relationships, makes this confusion even more common. Many couples live together because it is convenient, practical, and socially acceptable. Moving in feels like progress. Staying feels like stability. But stability is not always love. Sometimes it is stagnation dressed in domestic rituals. The real complexity comes from the fact that love cannot be measured by a single action. A woman can cook for you, laugh with you, take pictures with you, even sleep with you, and still not love you in the deepest sense of the word. And conversely, a woman can be imperfect, emotional, or even difficult at times and still love you fiercely. Love is not linear, not logical, not always visible. It is a mixture of intention, attraction, admiration, respect, and emotional presence. And so the question remains, how do you know if the woman you live with is truly in love with you? To understand this, you must look beyond actions and into the layers beneath them. The psychology, the philosophy, the silent truths that reveal themselves only when you are willing to be brutally honest with yourself. A woman who truly loves a man reveals her love not by staying in the house but by choosing him emotionally day after day. It is in how she speaks to him, how she listens, how she reacts when he is vulnerable, how she behaves when he is not at his best. Real love shows itself in moments of conflict as much as in moments of affection. You can tell a great deal about a woman's love by the way she treats you when she is angry, stressed, or disappointed. Anyone can be loving when it is easy, but only someone who truly loves you can remain respectful when emotions run high. Love and respect are intertwined. A woman cannot love a man she does not respect. She cannot feel passion for someone she looks down on or speaks to with contempt. If she mocks your ambitions, belittles your efforts, dismisses your feelings, or treats you as if you are unimportant, then her heart may no longer be aligned with you, even if her body is still sleeping beside you. But love is not only about respect. It also involves admiration. A woman who loves a man admires the man he is becoming. She sees potential in him even when he doubts himself. She encourages him not because she wants to control him but because she believes in him. She is emotionally invested in his growth. If the woman living with you treats your dreams as irrelevant, unimportant, or unrealistic, she may not be emotionally connected to you. A woman in love becomes part of the man's journey, not an obstacle to it. She cares about his progress not because she benefits from it but because she is tied to his spirit. Love also requires emotional presence, something many couples lose without realizing it. Emotional presence means she cares about your inner world, your thoughts, fears, stresses, desires, insecurities, ambitions. A woman can talk to you every day and still not connect with you emotionally. If conversations have become mechanical, shallow, or transactional, if she no longer asks how you feel but only asks what you are doing, if she feels absent even when she is in the room, then love may be fading. Emotional distance is often the first sign of a dying relationship, long before physical distance appears. Many men ignore this because they interpret silence as peace. But silence can be resignation, detachment, or emotional withdrawal disguised as calm. On the other side, a woman who truly loves you creates emotional safety. She becomes someone you can open up to without fear of being judged or dismissed. She listens not just to respond but to understand. She wants to know what weighs on your mind. She wants to know what excites you. She wants to know what hurts you. When a woman cares about your inner world, it is because you matter deeply to her. When she is indifferent to your thoughts or feelings, it is because the emotional bond has weakened. Another powerful indicator of love is effort. Effort is the invisible thread that holds relationships together. Love cannot survive without it. And effort does not always come in grand gestures. It is often in the small, consistent things. Checking on you when you seem off. Trying to solve problems with you instead of avoiding them. Being considerate even when she is tired. Showing affection without being asked. Putting energy into maintaining the connection. A woman who has stopped trying is a woman whose love may have already started dying. Humans do not neglect what they want to keep. Yet the greatest tragedy is that many women stay in relationships even after their love has faded. They stay for practical reasons, financial stability, shared responsibilities, fear of loneliness, or because breaking up feels overwhelming. Some stay because they do not want to hurt the man. Others stay because they feel guilty about leaving. And some stay simply because routine becomes a kind of emotional anesthesia. It numbs the truth but does not fix it. A woman might live with a man for years without truly loving him because leaving requires courage that she has not built yet. So her presence becomes misleading. She is there, but she is not with him. Her body is present, but her heart is elsewhere. This is why asking whether she stays is not the same as asking whether she loves. To answer the question honestly, you must also examine yourself. Love is not one-sided. You must ask whether you are the kind of man a woman can love deeply. Love requires emotional maturity, consistency, and integrity. A woman cannot fall in love with a man who does not communicate, who lacks purpose, who is unreliable, or who has stopped growing. Love is inspired by admiration, and admiration is inspired by character. Many men want a woman's love but do not embody the qualities that sustain love. A man must lead with kindness, strength, responsibility, and emotional presence. If you want her love, you must become someone worthy of it, not in a performative way but in the way you live. Think, speak, and build your future. The hardest truth to accept is that love cannot be faked, not permanently. A woman can pretend for a while, but eventually her behavior will reveal her true feelings. You will feel love when it is there, and you will feel its absence when it is gone. The human heart is not subtle in its truth. Even silence speaks, even distance speaks, even effort, or lack of it, speaks. And you must listen not only to her words but to her energy. Does she lean into the relationship? Or is she pulling away? Does she seek connection? Or does she avoid it? Does she still look at you with softness? Or has her gaze become cold and distant? Eyes reveal the truth long before words do. Love is not measured by how long someone stays but by how deeply they stay connected. Time does not equal devotion. Years do not automatically produce love. Many people spend decades next to someone they stopped loving long ago. What matters is presence of heart, not presence of body. What matters is intention, not habit. What matters is connection, not routine. And so the question becomes not, does she live with me? But, does she choose me emotionally each day? The courage to seek the truth is what separates emotional maturity from emotional avoidance. Most men sense the answer before they admit it. They feel the shift in her energy, the distance in her tone, the lack of warmth in her presence. But they avoid the truth because the truth threatens their sense of stability. Yet facing the truth is the only path to growth. If she truly loves you, then you must nurture that love carefully. If she does not, then you must decide how to move forward, with honesty, dignity, and self-respect. In the end, love is not proven by cohabitation, shared bills, shared routines, or shared responsibilities. Love is proven by admiration, respect, emotional presence, vulnerability, consistency, and the willingness to choose each other even when life becomes difficult. The woman who truly loves you will not make you question her devotion. You will feel it in her attention, in her energy, in her kindness, in her effort, in the way she shows up not only when it is easy but also when it is hard. A woman can live in your house without loving you, but a woman who loves you will make you feel at home in ways no building ever can. And that is the difference between proximity and passion, between routine and devotion, between staying and loving, the difference between a roommate and a partner, the difference between existing together and truly sharing a life. At the end of everything, the truth is simple. The woman who loves you will choose you in her heart long before she chooses to live with you. And if she no longer chooses you there, then the answer to your question has already been written, not in words, but in silence. And yet, even after all these reflections, the question remains heavier than before, as if expanding it only reveals more layers rather than offering closure. Because love, unlike most human experiences, does not sit still. It moves, quietly, subtly, sometimes painfully, and the woman who once loved you with fire may now love you with obligation. And the woman who once seemed indifferent may suddenly grow into someone who cherishes you with depth you never expected. Human emotions are constantly shifting landscapes, and living together does not prevent that evolution. In fact, living together often accelerates it, magnifying every flaw, every insecurity, every unspoken disappointment. Many men underestimate the emotional sensitivity of women. Women feel connection like oxygen. They sense disconnection like smoke thickening in the air. A woman may not tell you directly that her love is fading, but she feels it in the way she hesitates before answering your questions, in the way she withdraws when you reach for her, in the way she looks away when your eyes meet, not because she wants to hide the truth, but because she has not yet admitted it to herself. Love dies slowly long before it dies loudly. And so you must observe gently, not with paranoia, not with insecurity, but with courage. Because courage is the only tool sharp enough to cut through illusion. To know whether she truly loves you, you must dare to look at her without comforting lies. Does she still see you as a man she can admire? Admiration is the secret root of female desire. Without admiration, attraction withers. Without admiration, respect collapses. Without admiration, love becomes pity or routine. A woman may sleep next to you every night without wanting you, without desiring your presence, without caring about your inner world. She may remain physically loyal but emotionally divorced from the relationship because her heart has quietly retreated into its own chambers, untouched by your presence. And the cruel reality is that many men sense this long before they admit it. They feel the emotional gap, but they patch it with distraction instead of truth. This emotional retreat often begins subtly. She no longer laughs as quickly at your jokes. She no longer reaches for your hand spontaneously. She no longer tells you about her day with enthusiasm. She no longer cares whether you come home late or early. She no longer dresses up for you. She no longer asks what you think, how you feel, or what you dream about. She might still be kind. She might still be polite. She might still be helpful. But emotional warmth has been replaced by mechanical civility. The woman who once loved you has become someone fulfilling a role rather than expressing a feeling. You can feel the absence of passion even in her silence. And the silence becomes louder than any argument. But the truth becomes even more complicated when you consider that not all love looks the same. Some women love quietly, some love anxiously, some love inconsistently, some love but struggle to express it, some love but fear vulnerability, some love deeply but carry wounds from their past that make their affection unpredictable. The presence of emotional turbulence does not automatically mean the absence of love. Sometimes women pull away emotionally not because they stopped loving, but because they feel unheard, unappreciated, or unseen. The difficult part is distinguishing between a woman who has stopped loving and a woman whose love has been buried under unspoken frustrations. That is why the man must assess his own reflections as well. A woman cannot love freely if her emotional needs are ignored. She cannot love deeply if her efforts go unrecognized. She cannot love consistently if her attempts at connection are met with indifference. Often men believe love fades because of her. But love sometimes fades because of a slow erosion in the space between them. Moments when she reached out and he did not notice. Times when she needed emotional support and he dismissed it. Days when she sought connection and he was distracted. A woman's love is strong but not infinite. It withers when it is not nurtured. Yet love also cannot be forced back once broken. You cannot demand a feeling to return. You cannot command intimacy. You cannot negotiate passion. You cannot guilt someone into desiring you. If her love has faded, you must accept that reality with maturity. Staying with a woman who no longer loves you is a different kind of loneliness, one that eats away at your confidence slowly. A man can lose himself trying to revive a love that no longer breathes. That is why truth, however painful, is a gift. If she truly loves you, you will notice it in the way she prioritizes connection even during conflict. A loving woman may get angry, but she does not become cruel. She may criticize you, but she does not degrade you. She may feel overwhelmed, but she still seeks closeness. She may disagree with you, but she still protects the bond. Love is shown most clearly in the moments when it is tested. A woman's actions during discomfort reveal her heart more than her actions during peace. But what about the men who struggle to interpret these signals? Many American men were raised to be emotionally self-contained, taught to suppress vulnerability. They were conditioned not to ask for emotional reassurance. And because of this, they often misread a woman's withdrawal as temporary moodiness rather than emotional distancing. They confuse physical presence with emotional closeness. They assume that silence means everything is fine. They avoid emotional conversations because they fear conflict. But emotional avoidance is the fastest way to kill intimacy. A relationship cannot grow where vulnerability is unwelcome. And a woman cannot remain in love with a man whose heart she cannot reach. The deeper truth is that love demands constant renewal. It is not a one-time promise but a continuous decision made through actions, choices, and emotional presence. A woman who truly loves you will keep choosing you, through fatigue, through stress, through arguments, through disappointments, not because she is obligated but because her soul is tied to yours. But her choice must be matched by yours. If you neglect the relationship, love may fade not because she stopped caring but because she became tired of carrying the emotional weight alone. So what do you look for? Truly, look not at grand moments but at small consistencies. Look at the way she reacts to your vulnerability. Does she soften? Or does she withdraw? Look at the way she responds to your successes. Does she celebrate you? Or does she seem indifferent? Look at the way she talks about the future. Does she include you in her dreams? Or does she speak only of herself? Look at the way she handles conflict. Does she fight to repair? Or fight to escape? Look at the tone she uses when speaking to you. Warmth cannot be faked. But coldness cannot be hidden. Look at how she behaves when she thinks you are not paying attention. The truth is always in the unguarded moments. A loving woman's presence feels like emotional nourishment. Being with her makes life feel less heavy. She reduces stress instead of adding to it. She listens with sincerity, not impatience. She tries, truly tries, to understand you. She notices small changes in your mood because she is tuned into your emotional frequency. She cares not only about who you are but who you are becoming. She wants to walk beside you, not ahead of you or behind you. Her love is an anchor, not a cage. But a woman who has stopped loving will feel like emotional starvation. She becomes distant, not because she hates you, but because the bridge between your hearts has weakened. Conversations lose depth. Touch loses warmth. Arguments become colder. Days pass without connection. She may still fulfill responsibilities, cleaning, cooking, working, planning, but her emotional energy is elsewhere. You feel like you are living with a shadow of who she used to be. And yet none of these observations matter without introspection. The real question is not only, does she love me? But also, am I loving her in a way that allows love to survive? Many men want unconditional love without offering emotional presence. They desire loyalty without providing safety. They expect admiration without embodying leadership. They demand passion while offering complacency. Love is reciprocal. It grows when both partners grow. It dies when one partner stops showing up. But despite all the philosophical exploration, the most important truth is this: you will feel her love if it is there. Humans are intuitive beings. Your mind might overthink, but your heart knows when it is being nourished and when it is being neglected. The absence of love is not subtle. It leaves a weight in the air. It sits in the silence between conversations. It shows itself in the way her body stiffens when you touch her. It emerges in the lack of excitement when she sees you. Love may be complex, but its disappearance is unmistakable. So what do you do with the truth once you find it? If she loves you, cherish that love. Nurture it. Protect it. Do not take it for granted. A woman's love is not guaranteed. It is a living flame that needs attention and emotional presence. But if she does not love you, you must accept reality with pride, not desperation. Letting go of a woman who no longer loves you is not a failure. It is an act of self-respect. Staying in a loveless relationship is the true failure, for it destroys both people slowly. In the end, the answer to your question does not lie in her words, her routines, or her physical presence. It lies in the quality of the connection between your hearts. A woman may live with you out of comfort, habit, fear, or convenience, but a woman who loves you will make you feel chosen, genuinely, deeply, consistently. She will not leave you guessing. Her love will not be a puzzle but a presence. And if you cannot feel that presence, the absence itself is the answer.